simple exercise. What do you think? What is the first one? Right. What is the second one? Now, what is the third one? How do decoders work, decode? There are multiple answers. What else? How do decoders work? How do decoders decode? How do decoders function? How do decoders? Okay. Then today we will learn AI. What else? Implement AI, explore AI. What else? Okay. What else? Today we will use AI, understand AI. Last one. What are attention units? So the reason behind doing this exercise was the way you were thinking. ChatGPT also does the same. It may look like that ChatGPT can do multiple stuff. It can write poetry, it can write code, but at its core, it's only predicting the next word or the missing word. That's it. Based on probability, it's only predicting the next word and the missing word. So this is what ChatGPT or large language models do. Now, before we come to AI agents, let's quickly, talk about basics, and then I'll come. So we all know that in order to interact with a computer system, we need to write code. Now, what is a code? Code is a set of instructions written in programming language. Now, what is a programming language? Like it could be Python, Java. Now, this language is a high-level language, which gets first converted into low-level language, and then ultimately into binary, and then only computers understand, right? Now, but in today's world, we talk to Alexa, and Alexa replies back. Now, how does that happen? How computers started understanding our natural language, like English, Hindi, Gujarati, French. How computers actually started learning our language. So the field of AI, which deals with natural language, is known as natural language processing. So how does that work? So just consider a scenario. You only know English. You don't know any other language. You only know English. And if I ask you to convert or basically translate German to Hindi, what would be your approach? You'll somehow first translate German to English and then English to Hindi, right? This would be. Now, what is the language that computers understand? Binary. So they only understand binary. They don't understand any other thing. But if you go one level up, basically they understand numbers, right? So if we want computers to understand our words, we need to convert them into numbers. So that's what we do. So let's say if this is a great way to learn AI, and if we say this equals to 1, it is equals to 2, and so on. So this is a great way to learn AI actually becomes this number vector, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And similarly, all the sentences actually becomes number, right? And then when you feed these numbers to AI models, they can actually identify a pattern, and then they start understanding the language, right? So this is how computers actually started learning our natural language. However, so basically, and this process is actually known as tokenization. So what is tokenization? Basically, we replace English with a language the computers can understand, which is numbers. And why we do that? So that tokenization helps the model perform mathematical operations on the numbers. Clear, right? Now, the thing is, language is not that simple. There are so many complexities with language. Now, for example, just take these 3 words. The word bank has 2 meanings. One is your financial institution, and other is your river bank. The second word, content and content. Content means satisfied, and content that you create on social media or watch on social media. The third word, read and read. The present tense and the past tense, but the language is the same. Now, if you just specify a number, let's say if you say bank equals to 1, how will computer understand you are talking about financial institution or you are talking about river bank? So, I am going to bank to deposit money. We sat on the river bank and had a picnic. I am content with my job. I am making content for the social media. I read newspaper every day. I read a book yesterday. So language is not that simple that you just assign a word, a number, and then and there are other complexities as well. So many things happened, and then Google found a way to solve this problem through transformers. What does GPT stand for in ChatGPT? What is the full form of GPT in ChatGPT? Generative pre-trained transformer. That is, basically, it's a kind of a transformer, right? So in 2017, Google came up with this paper called Attention is All You Need. It's a very cult paper, and which basically solved the problem. How did it solve? So for example, if I come to you and I say, I had a productive day today, my task completed before time. So a normal reply for these two sentences would be good, good for you, right? Now, if I come and if I add another sentence that I had a productive day today, my task completed before time, I also got a promotion today at work. Now, what would be your reply? Congratulations, right? Let's go for a party, something like that. So the point is, your reply changed. Why did your reply change? I only added a single line. The first two lines were the same, but your reply changed. Why? Why did your reply change? Because the context changed. Because promotion is a high priority event, and productive day and task completion is a lower priority event in comparison to that. So we humans somehow pay attention to high priority events, and based on that, we basically generate our response, right? So if AI models have to understand the language, they also need to understand the priority. They also need to pay attention to certain words. So for example, in this thing, how do you know that this is read and not read? First, this one is read and not read. From every day, but every day is coming at the end. You start reading from the left, right? You read I, you haven't reached every day, right? Then why you are reading read and not read here? No, but why did, so in the second sentence, why, what will you read? I read or I read? Read a book yesterday. You haven't reached the word yesterday. So my question is, if you haven't reached the yesterday, how do you know that this is a past tense or present tense? Because somehow we pay attention to the whole sentence. Maybe a child reads one by one, but we somehow pay attention to the whole sentence. And that's what AI models also need to do if they have to understand the model. And this is what Google suggests, that attention is all you need. And that's why they came up with this concept. So what is basically, so they basically self-attention. Attention is way of giving priority to certain words, and it extracts information from the whole sequence and gives weighted sum of all the past encoded states. This is a little bit technical, but the point is, every day was contributing to read. So in that sentence, every day should have more weightage than the word book. Similarly, yesterday should have more weightage to the word newspaper. Even if you change book or newspaper, it doesn't make any difference. But if you change every day or yesterday, it makes a difference. So this is what Google suggested. So what happened before transformer? Before transformers, models used to understand just relevance of their adjacent words. So models know that what is the relevance of word teacher with taught and the. But after transformers, models started understanding relevance of each word in the sentence. So now models understand what is the relevance of the word teacher with taught, with the, with student, with book. So they started understanding relevance of the word with all other words. And that's how they actually started understanding language. So how NLP has progressed? We initial use case was sentiment analysis. Anybody knows what sentiment analysis is? Can you tell what sentiment analysis is? Yeah, yeah. Exactly. So you give a certain text to the model, and model will predict whether it has positive sentiment or negative sentiments. But what is the use case? Let's say Amazon wants to understand whether the reviews they are getting are positive or negative, right? Let's say brands want to understand whether people are tweeting positively or negatively. Like maybe GDG Ahmedabad wants to understand whether people are tweeting or posting social media like positive things or negative things. Political parties, they want to understand what is the sentiment of people, what if they are posting positive things or negative things. So that was the first use case. Then So what is the first thing you learned when you learned English? Alphabets. After alphabets, words. So models, they also learn words as the first thing, and then came your use case of autocorrect, which we use in WhatsApp, right? So knowingly and unknowingly, we are using AI, and then afterwards, what did we learn? Sentences. So the model also started understanding sentences, and then came the use case of autocomplete, which we use on Gmail, your Google Doc, all those, right? And then because models learned all the languages together, so they could do language translations. So far so fine. Like, it's not that AI has come recently. We have been using, knowingly or unknowingly, we have been using AI since 2000s, and maybe before that, but actually, and we used AI in our daily lives. But then what happened in 2022 when ChatGPT came? Why suddenly everyone started talking about AI? Today we have a separate track for AI ML, and we are talking about AI agents. What happened? Okay, let me frame this question. Why do you use ChatGPT? For productivity? What else? Like, but why specifically ChatGPT? It can understand our language, right? So after, so two things. So transformers were there. Transformers could able to understand language. So consider transformers as like a student studying in 7th, 8th class who has understanding of English, basically understanding of language, but doesn't have knowledge, world knowledge. That person doesn't know anything about the world. So what happened? Two things happened. First, transformers were trained on huge data, and so basically we got large language models. So ChatGPT is a large language model, right? ChatGPT is a brand name, but the actual product or technology is your large language models, right? So what exactly large language model is? Transformers trained on huge data. How? So basically, when we say huge, how much huge? But in terms of numbers, how much? How many billions? How many tokens? How many? 1.3 what? It's much more than that. It's 300 billion tokens. And roughly 4 tokens are equal to 3 words. That means it's 225 billion words. Now, can you imagine the amount of data that was fed to ChatGPT? 225 billion words. It's like, right? So first it was trained on huge data, and then what the lady said here, they start, they understand our language. So second thing which happened was reinforcement learning from human feedback. Now what it is? So let's say if I give this prompt, my house is too hot. Now model actually can generate 3 answers. The first answer is there is nothing you can do about hot houses. So my criteria is helpfulness, but my model is not helping me. Second is you can cool your house with air conditioning. So here model is trying to help me. And the third is it is not too hot. Now model is not acknowledging my problem at all, right? Now, but the thing is, in terms of language, in terms of English, in terms of sentence formation, in terms of vocabulary, all these 3 sentences are correct. But the question is, are these 3 sentences acceptable to you as an answer? These are correct, right? So model task was to generate answer, it has generated. But is it acceptable to us? So which one is acceptable to you? The second one, right? So what happened is that thousands of humans actually gave feedback. So we got the response, and thousands of humans actually gave their feed, or basically gave their preference. So according to me, the number one answer which I'll accept was the second one. Then the first one I gave second rating, and the third one I said that I'll not accept this as an answer. So with this, model actually started generating which is acceptable to humans, and that's why ChatGPT got so much success, because it actually, now it can understand us, and it can basically generate answers which are acceptable to us, right? So this is the training data. If you see GPT-3, 170, it was trained on 300 billion tokens. It costed them roughly around $10 million. It took some 1,000 to 10,000 V100 GPUs. For Llama model, it was trained on 1 to 1.4 trillion tokens, almost 1 trillion words. and then you can see it costed them $5 million, and now it's no longer $5 million game, it's around actually $100 million game to train a large language model. And then it took around 2,800 GPUs. 2,800 GPUs. So can you imagine the amount of infrastructure it needs to train these kind of models? So, and that's why only companies like Google's and OpenAI and Microsoft and these companies are actually basically training the model. So what we can do, we can actually use these models and build on top of that, right? In terms of data, just have a quick look. Common crawl was internet, so 67% of the data came from internet, then GitHub, Wikipedia, books, archives, Stack Exchange. In terms of size, if you see, it's 5 GB. Can you imagine 5 GB of text data? Can you imagine how much data that would be? So that amount of data was fed. Now let's come back to the original topic, AI agents. Now what is an AI agent? So we talk like I think I have heard this term at least 10 times today itself. Like in last talk they were talking AI agent with backend. Earlier they were AI agents, right? Now what is an AI agent? So AI agent is, so you understood LLMs? LLMs, they have, so with transformers models learned English, basically language. With LLMs, model have world knowledge, plus they also understand what humans require. AI agents are LLMs plus reasoning plus access to external application plus self-reflection capability. So first is reasoning. So if you give a problem, they'll first think through. So if it's a difficult problem, they first reason through and break it down into small problems. That's one. Second, now if you ask ChatGPT anything, they'll answer what they know. Now what if they don't know? So for example, if you ask who is the president of Trump, now definitely the model was pre-trained earlier, so sorry, who's the president of US? It's Donald Trump, but maybe it will not give the right answer. So what if you give access to Google? So now you give Google's API and you ask ChatGPT, it will access Google with this search term, get the results, and then so they can basically access external application, and they can access anything. They can access Wikipedia, they can access your Google, they can access any Make My Trip, whatever, all kinds of websites as well as external applications. And third, currently if you ask anything, model just responds. It doesn't think, it doesn't reflect whether the answer is correct or not. And that's why you see that on ChatGPT they have written this warning that AI can generate wrong answers, please use your own judgment, right? Now what if they have self-reflection capabilities? Once they generate an answer, what if they reflect that whether this is the right answer or not? To give you an example, so one example could be that, so now let's say you have received an email and you want to draft a reply. So ChatGPT can obviously draft the reply, right? Now, but for that, what you have to do? You have to copy paste your email. You have to write that, write a reply to this email in a polite and professional tone. It will generate the reply. You have to copy paste again in your Gmail, and then you have to send. Now, what if you give access to your Gmail? So you have to just say that I have received an email from Vikas. Just go and draft an email. So it will access your Gmail. It will search by Vikas. It will read your email, generate basically draft a reply and come back. So you can directly go check the reply. If it's okay, you just have to press send. Now this is one way of agent. Second way is, let's say you are planning a trip to Dubai, right? And so ChatGPT basically can give itinerary for Dubai, 7 days itinerary, 10 days itinerary. But is itinerary enough? Let's say you also want to understand how is the weather like. So if the weather is good, then only basically go ahead and plan my vacation. That's one. Second, what are my hotel options under this budget? Let's say $100. What are my budget options? What are my hotel options under $100? And third, what are my food options? Let's say I'm a vegetarian, so I'm saying that with around my hotels, what are the vegetarian options? So what it will do? So you'll give this thing that I want this. It will first go it will first access a weather app. It will check the this thing, and okay. So this is let me. So I'm running short of time, so I'll quickly do this. So basically, AI agents are basically they can reason through, they can uh, access external application and self-reflection. So basically, agents are a combination of LLMs and code. LLMs reason about what steps to take, and then basically they also choose a tool to use. So if you give access, basically they think and they so for example, if you give access to ChatGPT, basically if you give access uh, to like Google, basically so then ChatGPT will think whether I need to search Google or not. I'll show you the demo. So this is how it works. Basically, if a user comes, it gives a request. So then chat basically it plans, it generates tasks, and then it starts executing these tasks one by one. And then it gives, and then it reflects, and then if anything is wrong, it replans. So this is how the agentic flow is. This is how the agent works. Okay. So now let's talk about how we can build agents. So there are three important things: task, tools, and memory. Tools are your external application. Task is what you want model to do, and memory is you no, right? So tasks are the jobs that agents need to perform, right? So and agent tools are what basically for the Google, Wikipedia, all these are the tools basically which they can access. So it could be Google search, database lookup, Python interpreter, maths, any website, anything which you want model to access could be your tool. And this is, let me show you. So now, and then what is multi-AI agent system? Multi-AI agent system is when you have multiple agents. So it's not one agent. There are multiple agents which can interact and they can work together. And multiple AI agent system can have like so they can work one by one. They can also work in hierarchy. So for example, you can define a boss, let's say a senior software developer, and then you can design one software developer and one QA. So agents can work in hierarchy as well, and then asynchronous AI agents also we can have. So how much time we have? Okay. So let me show you the demo. That would be, I think, better. So I'll show you. Let you know what. Let me just install the dependencies. Any questions? Yeah, no problem. Any questions so far? Anything related to AI, LLM, AI agent? Okay, so what we are doing, let me tell you. So what we are doing, we'll ask who is the Prime Minister of the UK first to the GPT 3.5 Turbo. Okay. So it said as of October 2021, the Prime Minister of United Kingdom is Boris Johnson, because the training data was till October 2021, right? So it doesn't have the updated information. Like now, let's make an agent which will talk to Google, and hopefully it should give you the right answer. Any questions? So we are using LangChain. We are building an agent. You can see, and if you see, I am giving SERP API here. Here SERP API. So it will have access to Google. Now let's see who is the Prime Minister of the UK. We have built an agent. Alright. So it has still got the wrong answer. Let me run it again. So that's the problem with doing live demo. You can have so so it's still giving, but generally, like, it gives the right answer. So, but what you need to see is see how it is thinking. So now, earlier it simply gave you the answer, but now what is how the agent is working? It's saying I should always think what to do. Agent is thinking, like, then it's thinking that I need to search. Action is search, and what is the search keyword? It is Prime Minister of UK, and based on that, it has actually accessed the Google, and it has recovered this link. It has gone to that link. Unfortunately, that link is not right, and that's why it's giving the wrong answer. But generally, it will basically go. It will check the right answer, and it will fetch you the basically. So now the point is, ChatGPT, which is GPT 3.5, can now able to access Google. That's the thing, and you can see it has actually, and you can also see the thought. It is actually basically reflecting. So this is what AI agents are. So that's it. I have a so basically yeah, so that's me. Basically I teach AI and generative AI to senior IT professionals, mainly 10 plus years of experience, people who want to learn AI. So we have designed a specific course for them. uh, I just have, before I show you, I just have a fun fact for you. Who do you think first funded NLP research? Any guesses? NLP research was first funded by, any guess? This is tricky, so any random guess would also do. Huh? NASA is close. What else? SpaceX, no. Okay, so let me give you the hint. So the company that got funding was Google. So now who can fund Google? Bigger than Google. Who is bigger than Google? US government is one. So basically the answer is actually US military. So US military actually gave the funding to Google, because, and the problem they were facing was they wanted to analyze lots. So they were getting lots of call recordings, and they wanted to analyze them for any, basically any wrong thing. And they want, but so problem for recording all those things, first they need to hire multiple people who can understand multiple language. Now that's a challenge. Even if they can, if they hire these people, they have to listen to these calls manually, right? And that's a very tedious process, and they might miss the important information. So they wanted to automate these things, and that's why they funded Google to research on that, and that's why this thing. So this is me. Please feel to connect with me on LinkedIn.